and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. I had a pneumonia jab today. I went for a diabetes checkup, and while I was there, they were like, oh, as you got diabetes, you qualify for the pneumonia vaccine, do you want it? And I was like, yeah, may as well. So I've had it, and my God, my arm is so sore. So sore, but we continue. Welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. And here I am, just a girl, stood in front of my bookshelf saying, please, can I read something this year that is more than a 3.5 star book? Because my reading this year, considering we are like fastly going to be in June, I haven't read anything that's really got me well excited. A lot of the books that I've read this year that have been 4 or 5 stars have been rereads. One book I've read, which I gave 4.5 stars, was a non-fiction book called Reach for the Stars, about a period in pop history that I've really enjoyed. But other than that, we are firmly in the sort of 1.5 to 3.5 star, and that's sort of like 2.5 to 3.5 star area. It's quite a sad area, because the truth of the matter is that the book's okay while you're reading it, but it's just very forgettable. So I've been through my shelves and picked out 10 books that surely are going to be above a 3.5 star, surely, and the reasonings behind those. So this is just a sort of reminder that these are the books on your shelves that you could well very much enjoy. And after we've got maybe through Daphne du Maurier May, when June's here and I'm on a slight sort of video hiatus, I've taken a bit of time off in June, then maybe these are going to be some of the books that I pick up when I haven't got a sort of film of reading vlog and all of this sort of things. And just maybe these might be books that might make some of my best books of the year, because so far, that best books of the year so far video, which I'm going to be filming and popping up in July, there's not going to be all that much on it. So I really would like to enjoy some books. So here are 10. So we'll start with the first one, which is The Raven's Nest by Sarah Thomas. This says an Icelandic journey through light and darkness, and I picked this because one of my favourite books of all time is the book Names for the Sea by another Sarah Moss. And that's a book about her and her family relocating to Reykjavik for a year while Sarah teaches at the university in Reykjavik, and it's all about her life, what her life here is compared to the life in Iceland, and the sort of cultural adaptations and the adaptations they have to make to their life because of a change in weather and culture and language, and sending her 2 young boys off to school when they don't speak any Icelandic, and them learning much more Icelandic than she knows and things like that. And I love that book. It's a book that I sort of always really reread quite often, and I started rereading it last year and didn't get around to finishing it, but it's on my headboard and I think I will definitely pick it up and finish it again this year. But yeah, so I thought this sounded very similar and like I could probably well enjoy it. So it says here, visiting Iceland as an anthropologist and filmmaker, Sarah Thomas is spellbound by its otherworldly landscape. An immediate love for this country and for Bjarni, a man she meets there, turns a week-long stay into transformative half-decade, one which radically alters Sarah's understanding of herself and of the natural world. She embarks on a relationship not only with Bjarni, but with the light, the language, and the old wooden house they make their home. I mean, so far, sounds brilliant. She finds a place where the midwinter moon reflected by snow is brighter than daylight, where the earth can tremor at any time, and where the word for echo, bergmál, my Icelandic pronunciation isn't up there, translates as the language of the mountain. In the midst of a crisis both personal and planetary, Sarah finds inspiration in the artistry of a raven's nest, a home which persists through breaking and reweaving over and over. We'll read the first line because that seems to be something that I'm getting more and more into. I also had a lovely time when I bought this book. I bought this in Daunt Books in London when I was on a little trip with Mercedes and Jen. And Daunt Books is set up by country, so I bought this trotted straight over to the Scandinavia section, picked this up, and another one that's also on this TBR. So, Breaking Up, August 2014. I'm sitting in the kitchen of my old corrugated iron clad house. But yeah, non-fiction. I think it sounds great. I really hope I like it. I really hope I do. Number 1. Next up, I've got Everything's Fine by Celia Rebess. This is one that come to my attention. I got sent this by Book Break, and I actually thought it caught my attention so much I thought it would be a good book to discuss for a book club, and I popped it forward for Patreon book club in February when the theme was dating. Another book, Sunny one, actually, we didn't even like that, but well, the majority of people didn't like it, I didn't like it. And I've always sort of had like half an eye on this book, thinking, what if? What if this had been the book we read? But yeah, I think the premise sounds really good. I also think the sort of end papers and everything look very good as well. Like, so I'll read you. So it says, when Jess first meets Josh at their Ivy League college, she dislikes him immediately. An entitled guy in chinos ready to take over the world. We've met him, haven't we? Meanwhile, Jess is almost always the only black woman in their class, and Josh can't accept that life might be easier for him because he's white. After graduating, Jess and Josh end up working together in the same investment bank. As they lunch, spar and pick each other's brains, Jess begins to see Josh in a different light. Soon their tempestuous friendship turns into an electrifying romance that shocks them both, and Jess finds herself questioning who she really is and whether what she's willing to compromise that for love. Everything's Fine is an utterly original and deeply moving take on an age-old question from a dazzling new voice. What have you got to lose when you fall in love? But yeah, I think it sounds like a great premise, and the end papers of sort of like these, on the face of it, they look like, oh, cute little Polaroids that they've had taken together, but then when you have a deeper look at them, like you'll see that she's cross about something and is looking away, and he's having a laugh, and she's sort of like, am I really up for this type thing? So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. First line. Part 1. 1. Jess's first day of work, the first day of the rest of her life. There we go. So I think that'll be good. The fact that it's a hardback is holding me back a bit, because David's always said it, he doesn't like hardbacks, and I'm quickly coming round to that. I just can't be bothered to hold them up, and I'm just preferring paperbacks. But the next is a paperback. This is The House Opposite by Barbara Noble. I heard Jen talking about this book, and again, this was another one that we put forward for Patreon Book Club. Oh god, and another one is one that we put forward for Patreon Book Club as well. So, and this one didn't win, but yeah, so I think this was in the sort of like cozy section. There's something about sort of like wartime, which is mad, but I have heard other people say as well that it sort of feels like quite cozy reads, and this is set in wartime. It says Elizabeth Simpson is a secretary having an affair with a married boss. Her father is an air raid warden, and her terrified mother takes her courage from concealed bottles of rum. Owen Cathcart, their neurotic teenage neighbour, slips out during night raids to watch the fireworks and collect souvenirs of shrapnel, and Bob Craven, a soldier Elizabeth uses as cover for her illicit romance, plans his taxi rides to see the most dramatic bomb damages. In this riveting drama of life during the Blitz, the extraordinary immediacy and vivid, intimate detail stem directly from the first-hand experiences of Barbara Noble, who lived and worked in London throughout the war. The result is a unique social document and an unforgettable reading experience. Our edition includes a new introduction by Connie Willis. So yeah. I mean, it sounds great. It sounds really, really great. Chapter 1. Carter came into Elizabeth Simpson's office at 5:45, ostensibly to borrow her paste pot, but actually because he hoped that the sight of him would recall to her mind the Evening Post. We didn't put this up for Patreon Book Club. I remember it was the first line battle that I remember reading that and being intrigued by that first line. So yeah, looking forward to getting ready to that. Maybe that'll be sort of like September, October. That feels like that sort of reading sesh. This is a book that my cousin Laura bought me for my birthday last year, and this person, Claire Finney, is a friend of Laura's, and this is a story of food and love. So it's a memoir all told about food, which you know I fucking love. So I mean, I've got to love this surely. From feasts to comfort food, first dates to office cake, how does what we eat define us and the relationships we have with each other? Let me say that again. From feast to comfort food, first dates to office cake, how does what we eat define us and the relationships we have with others? Award-winning food writer Claire Finney delves into these questions, telling a powerful story of life and love while uncovering the manifold ways in which food touches all relationships, from perfect strangers to lifelong partners. Beginning with a childhood spent in her grandmother's hotel kitchen and ending at her grandfather's bedside, Claire charts a course through the meals and recipes that have shaped the person she is today, investigating the role food plays in an often isolated modern society and exploring how eating unites us in various ways throughout our lives. Hungry Heart examines the power of food and drink to attract, bind and define us, as well as its ability to divide and repel. Sounds bloody great, doesn't it? When I'm reading this, I'm like, why have I not read this so far? Prologue. I'm 4 years old, standing on a three-legged stool in the middle of a clattering, steaming hotel kitchen. Tell me more. Next up, I've got A Spell of Good Things by Ayobami Adebayo. Now, I read, listened to the audiobook of Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo and loved it. I remember it vividly, of it being like, it was in the early days of me listening to audiobooks, and when I just sort of couldn't get enough of them, and I just seemed to be on a really good streak of listening to really fucking good audiobooks, and Stay With Me was one of them. It was a story of a man and his 2 wives, and yeah, I just loved it. And then I got sent this from the publisher when it was published, and that was like 2021, I think, or 2023, sorry, and just haven't got around to reading it, and I can't believe that I haven't, because I love Stay With Me so much. So get to it, Lawrence. This is a dazzling story of modern Nigeria and 2 families caught in the riptides of wealth, power, romantic obsession and political corruption. Eniola is tall for his age, a boy who looks like a man. His father has lost his job, so Eniola spends his days running errands for the local tailor, collecting newspapers and begging, dreaming of a big future. Worola is a golden girl, the perfect child of a wealthy family. Now an exhausted young doctor in her first year of practice, she is beloved by Kunle, the volatile son of family friends. When a local politician takes an interest in Eniola and sudden violence shatters a family party, Worola and Eniola's lives become intertwined. In this breathtaking novel, Ayobami Adebayo shines her light on Nigeria, on the gaping divide between the haves and the have-nots, and the shared humanity that lives in between. I mean, why haven't I read this? The first line is, Caro was angry. Why is Caro angry? Exciting. The next one, and this is, I mean, like I was saying, like, I can't believe I haven't read these, but like, why haven't I read the second book in the Anne of Green Gables series? I have read Anne of Green Gables for the first time a few years ago. I was going as far as to say it's one of my favourite books of all time. Absolutely loved it. And now I'm in the process of re-listening to the audiobook, which Rachel McAdams narrates, and just loving it. And I've got the whole series in these beautiful editions that David's sister bought me for my birthday many years ago. And it's one of my reading resolutions this year that I would like to read the Anne of Green Gables series. So here I am, about to read the Anne of Green Gables series. So yeah, there's so I've already read Anne of Green Gables. I've got this one. So Anne of Avonlea, 1, Anne of the Island, Anne of Ingleside, Anne's House of Dreams, and Anne of Windy Poplars. So 5 more to read. But yeah, I mean, I could get these done by the end of the year, but let's have a look. Chapter 1, An Irate Neighbour. A tall, slim girl, half past 16, with serious grey eyes and hair which her friends called Auburn, had sat down on the broad red sandstone doorstep of a Prince Edward Island farmhouse one ripe afternoon in August, firmly resolved to construe so many lines of Virgil. That's why it's so good. Maybe that will get read in August, if it starts off in August. But they're quite seasonal, well, at least the first one was, it sort of spans a year. But yeah, that's another one that needs reading. So here we go. Here is the other book that I bought from Daunt Books, and this is Island Summers, Memories of a Norwegian Childhood by Tilly Colm Seymour. And this is here, from the moment Tilly's grandmother set eyes on Smalholmen, a small island off the coast of Norway. I bought this because I'd just been on my honeymoon to Norway, and yeah, want to read more books set in Norway. It captured her imagination. Legend has it she bought the island in exchange for a mink coat. Every summer from then on, she and her young family would escape the English countryside for the island's rugged outcrops and sparkling waters, spending their days running wild, thieving for gull eggs and rowing on the lagoon. 35 years later, Tilly returned to Smalholmen as a young woman to spend her first winter on the island. Vivid and enchanting, Island Summers is the captivating story of 3 generations of women and the island they made their own. Now, to me, this sounds as though I could read it in the summer, because it's called Island Summers and it's going to go and examine sort of her grandmother's summers that she spent on this island. But also Tilly is returning to the island to spend her first winter. So it could also be read in the winter as well. Also looks as though it's got some lovely red houses, which we saw a lot when we were in Norway. But yeah, so that's another one that's got to be read. Part of me wants to hang on to this because David and I are going back to Norway next year, so I want to hang on to it and think, shall I read it then? But part of me thinks, oh, maybe. So maybe that will go sort of towards the bottom of the, oh, I need to read the first line as well, because I think it'll be, yeah, maybe I will hang on to it for next year. She just realised, lovely little map as well. Christiansand, we went there on the cruise. Oh, lovely, right, okay. Yeah, maybe I will, well, anyway, the first line is, the island. My grandmother bought the island. We'll see. If I get round to it this year, then great. If not, I will read it on my cruise next year. Then next up is Wayward, another book that was put forward for Patreon Book Club. This was the most recent one I put forward because book club also haven't been as good as last year. Last year we read some absolute bangers. The theme for this month was books I think we might like, and it was a 3-way vote, and this Wayward was on there. Pet by Catherine Chidgey, which is what won, and then The Women by, oh my god, I've forgotten her name. Kristen Hanna was also on there, but it was Pet that won. But Wayward, I like the sound of this because so many people have told me it's really good, and also it reminds me a little bit of the Bass Rock, which was one of my favourite books from a couple of years ago. I think because it's from 3 different women's perspectives at different times. Yeah, in the present day, Kate flees a traumatic relationship to Cumbrian cottage she inherited from her great aunt, but the cottage hides secrets of its own. In 1942, Violet rebels against her father's ideas of a proper young lady until he takes matters into his own hands. In 1619, Altha is on trial for witchcraft, implicated in the gruesome death of the local man. 3 women they tried to cage, but wayward women belong to the wild, and they cannot be tamed. So yeah. Oh, they also read this on Between the Covers, which is exciting. Maybe once I've read it, I'll go and watch that episode. Prologue, Altha, in 1619. 10 days they'd held me there. Oh, where? Next up is Heartstopper Volume 5. Now, this comes with a bit of backwork because I only own Heartstopper 1 and 5. And I've read 1, 2, 3. I've read 1 a few times, and 2 and 3 I haven't read for a while, and I've never read 4. So I think I probably need to reread the series in order to get to this point. I believe that the Netflix series 1 of the Netflix series covers book number 1, series 2 of the Netflix series covers books 2 and 3, and series 3, which is going to be the final series, is covering books 4 and 5, and 5 covers Nick going to university. So, and maybe this is like a sad moment where they're having a little cry as one of them leaves the other. I love the series, the Netflix series, I love the book series. I just think there's so much warmth and heart and understanding and representation and lovely stuff in there. So yeah, I need to get round to getting my hands on 2, 3 and 4, whether or not I put reservations on them at the library. But yeah, then I'll read number 5. Do I peek at the first line? Oh, so the blurb is, Nick and Charlie are in love. They finally said those 3 little words, and Charlie has almost persuaded his mum to let him sleep over at Nick's. He wants to take their relationship to the next level, but can he find the confidence he needs? And with Nick going off to university next year, is everything about to change? Well, it just says this is the 5th volume. It doesn't say it's the final. Maybe there's a 6th volume. I don't know. But the first, right, okay, so it starts with Nick's diary. Sunday, 6th of March. I can't believe it's already the spring. Charlie's doing a lot better now. He's back at school and back at rugby, and he's having less and less bad days. Interesting. There will be some bad days in volume 4. So there we go. So some work to do to get to this, but we'll do. And then the last one was a Christmas present that I asked for. This is The Closet by Theo Vanderbroek. And I saw Andrew Scott talking about this book, and I think Andrew Scott might be blurbed on the front of it. Witty and original and incredibly touching. I love this book. It was an Instagram ad that I saw Andrew Scott talking about it, and I was like, Andrew Scott talking about a book? Yeah, well, I'll read it. But once I actually asked for it and David's mum bought this for me for Christmas, I feel like I'm going to be well into this. So fashion has long clothed Teo's life, from the blue princess dress he secretly coveted as a child to the 2 big Gucci loafers he wore to impress the first man he desired. Teo's memories have all been marked by fashion, tailored by his formative moments. Delving back into the wardrobes of his past, The Closet explores the ups and downs of Teo's adolescence, charting his growth from uncertainty to self-acceptance through the lens of the clothes and accessories that have shaped him, and accessorise his journey to self-acceptance. In this funny, intimate and relatable memoir, Teo vividly recounts honest stories of growing up, his relationships with family and friends, flamingo costumes and discovering his sexuality. The Closet is a book about the power of accepting yourself, the importance of good friends, and embracing our differences to follow our passions. So you may well know that I'm very into clothes and fashion, at the moment, she says, literally sat with her hair scraped back and a t-shirt on. I am in the middle of, not in the middle, a third of the way through a fashion challenge I've set myself this year, where I'm going to wear a different outfit every single day of the year. It's going swimmingly so far, but I'm very much into clothes make me feel happy, and what I wear makes me feel happy, and I feel like a lot of my character is expressed in what I wear. So a book about clothes, I think, and relating it to sort of moments in your life and stuff, often I sort of remember nights because of what I was wearing, or remember times things happen because of what I was wearing, and I feel like there's a lot of that in here. So yeah, I think it will be great. I hope it will be great. So those are 10 books that, with a little, with a wing and a prayer, I really hope are going to be, at the very least, I'd love them for them to be above a 3.5 star, or for me to not want to DNF them. Because I really want to read some good stuff, but I've got really high hopes about all of these. Oh, I haven't read the first line. Sorry guys, of The Closet. Chapter 1, The Blue Princess dress. Teo, hold that still please, Mum snapped as she walked out of the front door of the house towards the car, where I was sat waiting patiently on the back seat. So yeah, here are the 10 books. I really, really hope that I'm good. I mean, just reading through the blurbs and the first lines and holding them in my hands has made me feel very, very excited. So hopefully here are 10 great books. Let me know if you've read any of these and what your thoughts are on any of them. If you gave them 5 stars, even if you didn't like them that much, just tell me. But yeah, hopefully I get as much joy out of reading them in entirety as I have done when I've been filming this video. I'm getting a bit of a feel for them now. And I'll see you all again soon for another BookTube video. Goodbye!